recording too frequently.
There
Hi.
you go. Hey everyone, welcome to Tuesday Night Q&A. Clay joined by the ever gracious E-Train. We're glad to be with you. Appreciate you being here with us. Hey Melissa, Sky, Mrs. Beast, Dogs Discussions, whatever your favorite moniker is for the night. And Jane, hello, how are you doing?
Chunk has things to say. I'm sure
Chunk
you can hear him in the microphone. Stop
Chunk
it. I'm going to take you back out there.
Chunk is telling everyone, hey. Mrs. Beast, it is. Biscuits and porn. Melissa, how the hell did you hear about biscuits and porn?
I don't know what that is. Apparently Clay does.
Yeah. Biscuits and porn is a kind of a little hole in the wall up on the Outer Banks in Nags Head. Here is the TripAdvisor review. Obviously pretty well rated. The actual location. Let's see here. This is the coast of North Carolina. This is this little strip here, the Barrier Islands, and they're or otherwise known.
I'm sorry, I forgot. There we go.
Okay. Right. Otherwise known as the Outer Banks, and Nags Head, which is kind of a great name, is the home of biscuits and porn.
Now, Nags Head, with any kind of major hurricane, will no longer exist on the planet. That whole section of Outer Banks will just be gone.
Yeah, as you can tell, this is not necessarily a an elite kind of restaurant.
No.
The food is good. I mean, good biscuits, good, chicken, ham, whatever you get. But I think the name is just
So what is the porn part?
Well, they also
Go ahead.
They also use these, this old truck driver image that you used to see on the
like the pinup girls.
The wheel flap of trucks, kind of like strippers.
Mm-hmm.
So you got some of those lying around, and they use them on their, shirts and whatever.
I'm guessing this
they don't actually have porn. But the name's kind of legendary. It's a great little dive, great little hole in the wall place, good food. And how the hell did you hear about it? Oh, we have a pug friend that's there. So, yeah. The Outer Banks. Go ahead, Ellen.
It's a beautiful place. I mean, I've been there a gazillion times, of course, being from North Carolina. But yeah, it's a very narrow stretch of land that it is predicted will someday not exist.
Trying to see some of y'all. Let's see.
Chunk, no.
Well, it's not. There it is. Rodanthe. If y'all remember the movie Nights in Rodanthe.
In North Carolina, we call that Rodanthe.
And is it Beaufort or Beaufort?
It depends on where you stay. In.
Yeah.
If you are in North Carolina, it is Beaufort. If you are in South Carolina, because they have one too, it's Beaufort.
Yep. So y'all may remember the movie or seen it. I think Richard Gere was in it. It's a good movie, but that house a decade ago crashed into the ocean. Well, if y'all saw another house collapsing in the ocean this past week due to the surge of the storms from the hurricane that's way off coast, that also was in Rodanthe or Rodanthe or however you want to pronounce it. And I mean, these houses are, all of them are doomed.
Oh yeah.
So if you want a cheap house on the coast, there you go. Don't know how many months or years you'll be able to enjoy it, but there you go. Now, I don't know if you can tell by looking at this, or you can go to a map and look. There are some stretches where this barrier island, this Outer Banks, is 50 yards wide. Would you say, Ellen?
Max.
I mean,
yeah,
there are some
there's a
stretches
road
where,
and very little beach on each side, and that's it.
yeah, there are a few places that are a little fatter, but it's still all sand, and it's still subject to change and shift based on the waves and the flow. And I took a couple of days and just drove up. Now, if I go camping, now, I've talked to some people about, I go primitive camping. We've even talked about it here at Cape Lookout. And this all is a national park. You can see there's an inlet here. So this island is actually a national park, and there's no building on it. It is a
drive to it. You have to ferry to it.
It's a relatively pristine island, but you can go out there and set up a tent and do primitive camping. And I do that on occasion, enjoy the hell out of it usually.
What? But, wait. There's a wild Carson sighting.
What the hell? Well, hey, stranger, how the hell are you? Good to see you, brother. Hope you've been doing well. Yeah, Carson, for those of you who may be new, Carson is actually still a member of the family. He's just been an absentee member, a little bit on the replay club maybe, but he's had other duties, responsibilities and all, hadn't been able to be with us. Good to see you, Carson.
Heck yeah. He heard
but I took a
porn.
Yeah. Bingo.
100%, Melissa.
100%. But you can actually take a couple of days and drive up this whole, or ferry. Like this is about a, 2-hour ferry ride. And you can just literally drive up the whole Outer Banks.
Melissa,
and if you get
play the Outer Banks thing now.
If you get to Kill Devil Hills, a lot of people will think of it as Kitty Hawk, but actually Kill Devil Hills was the name when the Wright brothers were trying to develop flight. This is where they did it. There's actually a huge sand mountain. I say mountain, it's about 5 stories, 6 stories high.
Mm-hmm.
And they had this plane that you've seen pictures of or similar to it. Do what, Ellen?
I was proposed to on that hill actually once.
Oh, were you? Cool. And, this plane weighed about 200 pounds. So they would literally have to carry it up this 6-story sand mountain. If you've ever tried running in the sand, you get an idea of the difficulty of taking this plane all the way to the top and then trying to, fly off of it. And they did that approximately 2,000 times. So, when people think, what did they go through or how difficult was it to learn to fly? How much discipline and determination did they have? That's just impressive as hell to me. So if you ever get a chance to go, by all means, it's a great trip up and down the Outer Banks. It's been used in a lot of movies, and it's got some great hole in the wall places.
I was going to say,
and great lighthouses. Go, Ellen.
Sleeping with the Enemy was also filmed there. There was also a Richard Gere movie. That wasn't it though. It was something else that was also. Was that filmed at Figure 8? Anyway, that's why people call Wilmington Wilmingwood, because there's like a whole other Screen Gym Studios. We're the East Coast of the thing.
Anyway. Yeah, who's the guy? Oh, Francis Ford Coppola. He
Okay.
he shot a movie here, loved it, moved here, and actually built the second largest studio in the world.
Mhm.
So, tons of movies were shot here in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever.
They
Some
still
of
are.
it is, yeah, but some of them still are. A lot of it has moved to other areas who started competing more for movies. Atlanta picked up a bunch, et cetera, et cetera. I
Well,
think there people built a studio in Atlanta.
that's because we stopped giving uh, benefits to the movie
Tax
industry.
credits.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
And so they got really mad. Okay, 4 minutes ago. What about the Knights of Sidonia?
I think that's a song. I've heard that before somewhere.
You were
I
saying
don't know
Knights
who
of
sang it.
Advance E.
That was the movie.
Okay.
Nights, as in dark,
And I GH to
daytime, nighttime. Yeah.
Yep. Knights credits. Yep. Our tax credits. I've been all right, busy with kiddos and chilling with a friend. Awesome.
Well, what was his name?
Who?
Carson's friend.
Don't be getting Snoopy. That's not very
he,
nice.
he would do it to us.
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah. Carson is a little different.
Let me handle this.
The dogs. So I hope all of y'all have been doing well. Had a good week so far. My life has changed dramatically starting today. I've been in meetings since 9, finished up about 4:30. School starts back officially tomorrow. So I once again will be pseudo gainfully employed. And
gainfully employed.
Yeah,
You just don't work
it is. Summer. Yeah, I'm still gainfully employed in the summer. There's just no classes.
That's not true.
Which it has been awful quick. I do have an online class. Mm-hmm. I push a button and then basically it runs. So it's kind of cool. Carson, I will never discount the ingenuity of those that invent game-changing devices. There's a story behind here. So, and Carson, you have the floor. Yeah, we're curious as to what constitutes game-changing devices.
I could go so many places with that. It's not even funny.
And I'm almost scared to ask Carson, but we'll see what he has.
Carson.
We do. Sometimes he gets a little creative on us. I can work backwards and understand how the TV makes sense, but I don't. Okay, Ellen, your turn.
I think you had a whole conversation about that before you and how it was envisioned. Look, okay. Carson, you're doing the thing. You're doing the thing.
Carson, you all right, my man? Carson's one of our Carson's one of our favorite Canadians.
Do I need to have Sky Ricky come over and grab your kiddos? Are you all right? Just want to make sure.
It is a song.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now I don't remember who sang it.
Beats the hell out of me.
Yeah. But I remember the Sidonia. A little bit about the tune, but I don't really remember the words or who sang it. That was just such an interesting name for a song. Kind of hard to forget.
We won't go there. Oh, good God.
Carson, in finance, we have a technical term for that. It's called a fat thumb. So we'll use that versus dickhead.
Oh, you did not. Okay.
It is a Muse song. And Ashley is a funny dude's name. That's all right. I knew a girl chick once named Clay. So it happens. But I hope he was good to you. Carson, it's good to have you back. Ellen's speechless again, so
he didn't actually mute me. I just couldn't make any words at that point. Anywho, we love you, Carson, and we've missed you.
Yep, it's good to have you back, man. Good to see you again. Yeah, the gang's all here. Posse's reassembled. Hope y'all have had a good week so far. There we go.
That's our Carson.
Good job, man.
There's the wit, the quick wit.
Yeah. Went to school with a dude named Lindsay, but Ashley is too pretty to be a guy.
Aww.
Well, good for you.
Watching.
Yeah, I since you're talking about her and being complimentary, I hope things are going well for both of you.
And I hope you're not watching the show. Anywho, I'm just saying.
Yeah. That's just.
Clay's like, no, he's speechless. He's like,
no, I'm kind of speechless.
Yeah.
All right, back to the show. Tonight is Q&A. So we obviously want to encourage any questions you may have about any general area related to business, finance, politics. Apparently sex and religion, are all, fair game. You can really talk about most anything that you want to talk about. Now, only, a couple rules is we want to be respectful to everybody, just common courtesy. This is kind of a family, and not going to agree with everybody on everything. Hell, there are even times when I don't agree with myself, but we want to be, encourage thought, discussion, questions, whatever. Even if it's something that in other places and locations that people, don't want to talk about. I think it very regretful, for example, in this society today, we don't talk much about politics. And people are very intolerant of differing views. Back in the Lincoln-Douglas debates, which I think most everybody's heard of, but those would go on for 3 or 4 hours at a time. And people would spend 2 or 3 hours walking or riding their horse or carriage to the location of the debate. The ideas, the discussion was so important and valued by them, even if they disagreed with somebody else. But they had the discussion. And I think ultimately that's how truth, reason, better understanding, better comprehension is arrived at. Not that you'll necessarily always agree with me or I with you, but I still think it's important and valuable to have the sharing of different thoughts and opinions. So we do that on this show sometimes. Ellen, can you share a picture? If so, I have a quiz question. So Ellen, are you getting the picture?
Yep, and I just emailed it to you.
Where?
Work.
I only have 10 different emails. So when she says she emails me something, I'm like, and she will send it to any of the different emails.
I only send it to one address. He sends mine to 4 different addresses. So I never know what's going on.
All right, let's see. So far, nothing.
It's coming. Should
It's a
be. Let
coming.
me check my outbox. Sorry, y'all. Give us a moment.
Oh, if it's a picture, it may take it longer to arrive because it probably has to be scanned by the server. And if it's over 20 megabytes, it won't get through.
It's not. Do you want me to send it to MOM?
You can go ahead and do that too. And we'll
Okay.
see which one wins.
Well, the other one had it.
Carson, maybe that's because everyone in politics sucks now. Is it vastly different? Yeah, maybe it is. And think about it. And I can really only talk about the US, but if you want to go into politics, you have to spend so much of your time raising money, basically on the phone, begging, whatever for money. And a lot of people just don't like doing that. And so there's a lot of good people that won't ever consider running for office. I think, that's a problem. And it's gotten so expensive to run for office, particularly if you're trying to run against an incumbent because they have so many advantages.
Check your email. It's there.
Okay.
I'm thinking Carson has collected sperm for like the past 2 years.
Do what?
Look. Do you have the picture?
Oh yeah.
You get it now? Can you throw it up there?
Yeah, but with that comment, I don't know if I want to. That's what Carson sent. And that looks like separated milk.
I'm out of left field, Carson. Seriously? That is like what you do. I'm sorry, that was funny.
Well, we appreciate y'all joining us tonight.
You were trying to make yogurt? Huh.
It looks like you made ricotta.
It looks.
I'm
sorry. I apologize, but
to make yogurt, you have to have yogurt cultures. So I don't know exactly what you did, but I'm thinking that's not any kind of yogurt that I would try.
If you add lemon juice to whole milk, then you can make ricotta. Whew, and then
and you can make cream cheese out of ricotta.
Yes, you can. So making yogurt, sweetheart, I don't know what you did. Jane loves me. Stop that. Ugh. Sorry. Jane has a new child, or a child. So Clay speaking of Jane.
That's a hard act to follow. Let me transition this very smoothly to AI.
I actually have a text from Jane. Oof, Lord, y'all are killing me tonight.
We
Huh? Wait, Mike Lynch. His
Ellen, you said wait. What?
Mike Lynch's yacht sunk.
Yeah. The
Huh. Y'all,
Bayesian.
people are. I mean, seriously, shit's getting weird.
Well, he was transversing an area of the Mediterranean that's known to have very quick storms. Even if it's beautiful, something can blow up in a second. It was right before dawn, and apparently he's got had a beautiful sailboat named Bayesian. He uses Bayesian theory in managing his portfolio and has been modestly successful. So he named his yacht Bayesian. Well, apparently the sailboat, apparently a tornado hit and knocked it over and it sank. And there were, 22, 25 people on board, and 8 of them are lost. 6 of them are lost so far.
So you mean like a water spout?
Yeah. Don't know a whole lot of other details, but that's what I've heard so far.
Okay, so if you know anything about yogurt, he added the yogurt cultures before warming the milk, so it's separated and didn't culture properly.
You don't add the cultures before. The way I've seen to do it is
Where is Jane when you need her?
You drain, you get the milk to separate. I mean, the cream to separate, then drain it off, drain the water off, and then you like have an old yogurt container with some of the old yogurt still left in there, active cultures, and then pour the new in, stir it up, and then put it in the refrigerator, leave it for a few days, whatever. Something along those lines. I'll have to check for the exact recipe, but something along those lines. So, can't say offhand. Yeah, did you get a text from Jane, you said? Ellen?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You want me to wait on this?
No, I just read it was the Mike Lynch's legal successes now. And there's another one too.
Okay.
There's just so many things I have to do at one time. Hang on. The other one. U.S. versus Canada. The breaking into your home, steal your car, where you just leave your keys like on outside, so they can just take it.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't have to kill anyone.
Oh, you wouldn't want to have to make them go to trouble and break your window in order to steal your car. If you leave your keys on top of your car, is it really stealing?
No, it's borrowing, liberating.
Things are just getting weird.
Okay, Carson's got the thing here.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of Q&A, this was a question that we received, mailed this article and asked me for some thoughts about it. This article is on regulating AI. It's actually about a proposed bill in California. Now, as is common with everything politicians do with all bills proposed, the stated goal is to protect the consumer. In this case, this bill tries to, quote unquote, protect the consumer by getting companies to assure the government that the product won't hear them. Ellen, can you move your keyboard away from your mic for us, please?
I was just responding to Carson. Jane said.
I know, but it's really loud thumps.
Okay, I won't do it. You have to wait until the milk is cool to add the cultures. He probably killed the cultures. Sorry.
Now, in a nutshell, the proposed law is still not passed yet, but it actually requires companies to notify the Attorney General of California when they train a model that exceeds some computing threshold as yet to be determined and cost more than $100 million, which, in my humble opinion, will be almost every AI platform. I mean, doing a little research, I found out that OpenAI spent over $100 million last year alone just trying to train ChatGPT-4, just trying to train it, to teach it things. $100 million just to train it. So once notified, the Attorney General can seek an injunction against the model if the AG considers it unsafe. It also requires the AI to have a kill switch that allows developers to stop it in case of some danger. Now, the danger is not really defined. I'm not sure. I haven't read through the whole bill. I'm not sure who gets to define the danger, or that, defines what danger is. I don't know if they're talking about, Skynet trying to nuke the whole world, or if it's just somebody with an opposing, political ideology. We've seen how a lot of people get terribly offended, threatened, if somebody with a different opinion speaks up or even enters a room. I don't know if y'all know who he is, but a guy by the name of Matt Walsh.
Yeah.
He's kind of a controversial firebrand. Love him or hate him, whatever, I don't care.
Daily Wire.
He was kind of filming a video here at the DNC convention. And one of the things he filmed was he was going into this chat group, this, I don't know, some kind of group. And one of the he was recognized. And one of the ladies said just when he entered the room that she felt threatened, which is amazing to me. So, there are some people out there that are threatened by people with contrary opinions, just contrary opinions. So,
wait, so thoughts are now violent?
They can cause pain.
No, that's just not true.
I'm just saying, we've seen that in this country. And so defining danger, who gets to define that? It's like, a lot of people talk about how government should be able to censor misinformation. And I'm like, I will support censoring of misinformation if I get to define what misinformation is. Otherwise, I oppose it. So,
I'm sorry.
It's all right. Cooking class has begun.
I love all you guys to death. I love you, Carson. But you actually have Jane's phone number, and I'm going to remind you of that.
I think this is kind of cool. People coming on here
why am I mediating all of this in the middle of a live stream? I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? Carson, text her. Okay.
Hey, we've got other people now that may want to know how to make their own yogurt at home. So this is kind of cool.
Fun, but these are just like weird little things like popping out that probably don't make sense to people who are watching. And so I'm just throwing it out there. I don't people anymore, Melissa. I can't. It just.
Yeah. I agree with you, Melissa. It's getting, some people ask me why I love dogs more. And, kind of the old, you've heard people say, I wish people could love like dogs. And there's just, a lot of little truths like that. But nonetheless,
he doesn't even really like dogs that much. So.
Well, I do, but like with my work, with my schedule, I can't have one and I like to travel. And so if I want to take off for a month or two, I can't do it with a pet. I can't board them for 2 months, that kind of thing. I can't work 18-hour days with a pet. So I love them, but they're not practical, or I can't treat them the way I should treat them with my work and travel.
Carson, it's Tuesday on Q&A. I understand, but I don't have the answers.
Well, he
And
is.
And you know who does. So you can't ask questions you don't know shit about. That's not fair.
Yes.
Oh, good
any
Lord.
questions are allowed.
Maybe Jane and I will start our own little kind of food, how do you do it stream, and how it all goes. I don't know.
That would be kind of cool, actually.
Because, this is like insane.
Have dog will travel.
Always.
Yeah, if I was going to keep a dog, I would have kept Thor, the Irish wolfhound rescued several years ago, probably 4 years now. But he would end up being 180 pounds. Traveling with a 180-pound dog is a little different. I like big, ugly dogs. I like small, cute ones too, but I like a dog I can get up and tackle in the morning.
Okay.
So, and I've had a bunch of dogs through my life, but just now,
So
doesn't fit.
Clay's single. If you're a big, ugly dog woman, reach out. And he'll tackle you in the morning. Sorry, I had to go there.
That's all right. Not much I can say to that.
This is just on the cuff tonight. Clay told me to talk more, so here I am talking more.
All right. So
he didn't tell me what I could say.
Never have. Never would.
Macho's 2 pounds. I can take him anywhere in my purse. I can take Tallulah pretty much anywhere. And no one notices that she's with me because she's just still, and I have like a little sling I can wear. She just hangs out in there. Looks like a big old purse. And yeah.
I don't know if y'all I don't know if y'all have noticed or not, but I don't have a purse. And please don't buy me one for Christmas.
Oh, please do.
No, please don't.
That would be awesome.
But back to AI. Sometimes I just can't figure out a good transition. It's
just fun to fuck around and have fun.
It's all right. I'm not complaining. It's just like I don't know exactly how to get it back to the topic, but
do we have
here we go. No.
Where's Biden?
I have nothing else to add to Macho. So back to the topic for me.
Oh, y'all are killing me tonight.
And this was the original question. This was a question that was asked.
This is from actually Jane. Yes, she sent this in.
So in terms of, defining some of those things, that's a little problematic to me. Now, there have been some, amendments to the bill. And if you look up the article, I'm just going to read from it to keep it simple.
Clay, I will take a pause because if not, I'm just going to keep derailing this.
Oh, you're fine.
No, I really.
Yeah, it's a good night. Enjoy it. If you want to derail something, go ahead and derail it. Now it says before the bill passed out of the Senate Committee, industry won some significant concessions. The bill no longer enables the AG, the Attorney General, to sue companies for negligent safety practices before a catastrophic event occurs. It no longer creates a new state agency to monitor compliance. It no longer requires AI labs to certify their safety testing under penalty of perjury. The bill also no longer requires reasonable assurance from developers that their models won't create harm. Instead, they must only take reasonable care. And amid widespread fears the bill would chill the development of open source models, the bill was amended to exempt anyone who spends less than 10 million. So, some significant changes, but you know, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not really commenting on the legal aspects of this or trying not to. I'm looking at it from pretty much a market, finance business perspective. And just the general idea of holding a manufacturer of any product or any service responsible for how a client uses or doesn't use that product, I have a problem with. I think that would be ultimately destructive to business. Imagine being able to sue car manufacturers when somebody was drunk and killed somebody, or a car was used in a robbery or a high-speed chase. That's just ludicrous. Obviously, we've seen a lot of attorneys try to sue gun manufacturers for the misuse of their products. You could go on down the line. Now, if a manufacturer knows that a product in and of its own is going to be harmful to the user, not that it can be used for harm in some situation, but that it presents a threat to the user, if they know that, like cigarettes, sue the hell out of them. I would make everyone at the company who knew, the CEO on down to the managers, to the research scientists, to the board of directors who should have known, make every one of them individually liable. You start having a CEO who's put in jail who tried to conceal that his product represented a harm to the consumer. You wouldn't need a whole lot of safety regulations. The companies would be self-policing. So, in terms of making a manufacturer liable for a product being misused or having an unintended consequence, I think that's terribly problematic. You will destroy investment, you'll destroy research, you'll destroy a lot of small business startups. That's just a risk a lot of people can't take. People, restaurants, what if somebody chokes on their food? Should they be liable for that? No. So that's a problem for me. Not a fan. Interestingly, you've got for the bill's passage, a group of 8 members wrote a letter to Newsom urging him to veto. Said they support a wide variety of AI regulations, but the bill goes too far in asking tech companies to predict how people use their models. If the AI manufacturer should be sued, how about the computer manufacturer that the AI is run on, or that the user was using to access the AI? Should those also be equally liable? There's a lot of issues with that. I'm just, in and of myself, not a fan of. Now, does AI pose some threat? Computers pose a threat. We've probably all had our identities stolen, or, credit cards or whatever stolen. In this day and age, you've got, a dozen different microphones in your house. Can that information that those microphones are constantly collecting be used against you potentially? can that information be sold to retailers, to advertisers without your consent? You getting spam calls, spam emails, all that kind of stuff. Is that, is that a problem? That's a problem for me. I'm not a fan of that. I don't think that ought to be happening, but nonetheless. Carson, now what do I do with 1.5 quarts of whey? Here's your chance to be creative, Carson. Any of y'all have any good suggestions on what to do with whey? Let Carson know. The butter I made is pretty damn good. We've started making butter ourselves. Big fan of it. A lot better than buying it in the store. And you can tweak it. Sometimes I'll put like a little rosemary or garlic in it, or mix in a little honey, whatever. And I know it doesn't have any additives in it that I don't want. You got to be careful to rinse it out good. And I'll freeze it in little stick-like chunks and then pull one stick out of the freezer and, actually bought a butter slicer. It's got like fine little wires. You lay the stick on it and then press the top down, and it slices it in little slices, makes it, easy to use. So just a big fan of, doing some things like that at home. Where's Ellen? Biden is coming. I don't know. She just kind of takes off sometime. I'm not sure where she goes or what she's doing. I thought Biden's farewell speech at DNC last night was a disgrace and full of lies re Trump. I actually didn't watch it. Kind of wish that I had watched some of it, but don't know the details. Carson, we got you a solution here, man. You can give it to Little Miss Muffet. Good call, Melissa. Now, the status of the bill, I looked it up, see kind of where it is. It's actually California SB 1047, Safe and Secure Innovation for Frontier Artificial Intelligence Models Act. That's a mouthful. So it's been introduced. It's had the first review, passed the first chamber. I believe that's what we would call the Senate in most states. Second committee review, second chamber, and then enacted. So it's halfway home. Here's the summary. And you can tell there have already been, some significant revisions to the summary. I would imagine that the House would have additional revisions that it, enacts in the committee. If the chamber approves, then it'll go back to the Senate for a vote. So it's still got a ways to go. She's back. Everybody was wondering where you were. Ellen, can you hear us? Yeah, Ellen is now deaf. But we can hear her. Carson, would you tell Ellen her earphones aren't working?
I can now. Sorry.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what was going on.
Let's see, Erwin. Professor Dershowitz said it was a bunch of lies re Trump.
Okay.
Low way to go out as president. I mean, there is no love lost between Biden and Trump. Yeah, we're here.
Are you there? Anyone?
Yes. Will somebody text Ellen and tell her earphones aren't connected?
There we go. I did. And my Bluetooth sometimes on my iPad just decides to take over,
Seize
even though I
seize
have it
control.
off. Even though I have it off, it's like,
Interesting.
nope. Did you answer that one?
Finishing up, talking about the bill is halfway home.
This one from
Yep.
Biden? Okay,
Yep. Got it.
sorry.
So in terms of the bill, I mean, what do y'all think? Does, I was talking about, do I believe that AI represents a threat or a danger? I mean, we've all seen, the Terminator movies where you had, Skynet become self-aware and initiates nuclear war to wipe out humanity. And I think when most people think of AI, that's what they're thinking of. Now, when I think of AI, I just think of a huge database with very, very fast processors
You want to know what I
and an
think?
algorithm. Well, let me finish.
Okay.
And an algorithm that, shortens the data gathering process. So you've got a really just a much, much faster computer with a whole lot more data that can better interpret native language. Native language being you can ask it questions like you would ask another human just in your native language. You don't need a program or a computer programmer to type out the query. So I just see AI basically as a glorified computer. Now, and that's why AI is failing so much. If you give AI a task or some data, it fails. It comes up with wrong answers. You can even give it a mathematical equation to solve. It won't be able to solve it consistently correctly. You can give it the same equation several different times. It'll give you different answers. So AI is quite a ways away from even being an effective database. It is able to do some things like generate photos. You've had some people create photos of Obama doing lines of coke. And, some of those photos look real. I have thrown up photos I did just a couple of weeks ago of AI created people, not just still photos anymore, but of people moving, of motion. And it's getting pretty good at it. And at the time I pointed out that, Hollywood actors in Hollywood have a limited lifespan ahead of them because before long, all the actors are going to be AI and it'll be a whole lot cheaper to produce and make movies. AI has some ability, but as far as it becoming sentient, aware of itself, being able to control itself, being able to write and adapt its code in ways that could be harmful. Almost every programmer I, can know of or company that I know of is aware of that risk. And I think, well, first of all, we're years and years away from that. And then secondly, I think companies are aware of that risk. So I've just never seen government regulations be effective ultimately in policing or restricting evil.
Clay, may I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that the government in the United States right now is evil. I don't think they want to restrict it. I think that AI is more like what I hear is danger, Will Robinson danger, because they are not using it for what you personally, Clay, think they're going to use it for. They're using it for manipulation. They're using it to take children's faces, put it on porn, make it a thing. They're using it for things that maybe not don't make sense in the world of professors or the education world. But trust me, as soon as they unleash it, it is going to wreak complete havoc.
Okay, one, I'm aware of all what you said, and like I was talking about earlier, you can't control when somebody abuses a product. Computers have always been used to distribute child porn. Just because it's a little bit smoother artificial image now doesn't really change the nature of that.
No. But they're using it to um, blackmail people.
They've always used stuff to blackmail people.
But they're using AI
Yeah,
to put
they're using
this kid's
computers.
face on this image and say, this is your nude photo. And if you don't give us this much money, I mean, even a senator in South Carolina had to deal with
Yeah,
this with his son.
but look at history. Blackmailers have always made up stuff. This is just, a different version of the same old con.
Okay, so how does that relate to Professor Dershowitz that it was a bunch of lies regarding Trump?
He was talking about Biden's speech last night.
I did not see it. Did you? Did you?
No.
Oh,
Mm.
okay. I agree.
Yeah, I think right now there's how do I say this? There's a group of people in DC, and some of them are Republicans, some of them are
There are
Democrats,
some.
that are very evil and will do most anything they can to try to maintain control and power and absorb more power into themselves. Right now, the Democrat side of that is on full display.
Mhm.
So, and there's a guy online. He used to be a work for the DIA.
What's the
Tony,
DIA?
Defense Intelligence Agency,
Okay.
an NSA, National Security Agency, and he still has the ability to track. Oh geez, phone. It's not phone numbers. It's the phone. IMEI,
Yeah.
and
And that is the
he's
number that
got
is
some.
to your personal phone.
Yes,
IME.
attached to your personal phone. Even if you change the phone number or spoof another phone number, that doesn't change. So this guy's got some real sophisticated tools, and he has tracked over 100,000 different Antifa members from around the world. And he tracks when they have attended different Antifa protests, riots, whatever, when they've been in jail, etc. And there is a huge convocation of them assembling in Chicago.
Mhm.
Now, interestingly, most of them are out in the suburbs, are camping out in the suburbs, not right at the convention center. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going to be planned. You're seeing some protest at the DNC from the pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian protesters. There are two different security walls that have been built around the convention center. They breached one of them, and not the second. And of course, the Chicago police have recruited officers from surrounding states to help beef up the force because they don't want a repeat of 1968 when you had all the violent riots at the DNC convention there in Chicago. So I don't know what's going to happen, but you've got a huge number of people not particularly attached to the DNC convention that are there in Chicago that have a history of trouble. So it's just going to be, and you don't see much of coverage of the protest outside or anything on the major news networks. They're pretty much just ignoring it. So I'm not predicting anything's going to happen. I'm just saying there's some curious things going on in this world.
And Erwin, I agree. And the reason I think that is because they can't control Trump. The big guys, the WEF, what's the other one, Clay? The big one, the
ESG.
the ESG cannot rein in Trump. They cannot get him to comply, and that's what it is. Because if he comes into power, all of that is gone, and they are not willing to risk that. And so they will and can and are trying to do absolutely everything to prevent him from coming to power.
Yeah, I will say that, I've oftentimes described Trump as a narcissistic asshole.
He is.
I do think he's trying to soften that a little bit this go around, but and I don't necessarily like everything Trump's done, but I believe from what I have seen, what I have heard, what I've witnessed, I do believe that the Department of Justice, the FBI, even some actors in the CIA have been weaponized against him and against political opponents.
Agreed.
Some in the courts. And I believe if Trump wins, he is going to have a vengeance at cleaning some of this out. And so for that reason alone, I think that needs doing.
Oh yeah.
We'll see. But the interesting thing to me I saw today was that John Kennedy, Robert Kennedy's vice presidential nominee, what's her name? Sheehan?
I can't recall, but I'm not her biggest fan.
No, Shanahan. Nicole Shanahan. She said today that she and Kennedy are talking about dropping out and supporting Trump because they can't have Harris and Walz win.
Even they know. Yeah.
They think that would be devastating for the country. So if that happens, just think about this. If Trump does win, imagine a cabinet with Elon Musk in it, with RFK in it, with
Tulsi Gabbard,
maybe Gabbard,
with Vivek
Ramaswamy would almost definitely be in there.
Yep.
These are people that are pretty much dedicated to destroying the centralized power of DC.
Yep.
That would be an interesting as hell 4 years. Can't really actually predict what would happen, how successful it'd be. You don't know how many votes they'd have in the House or the Senate or whatever.
Yeah, but if we don't get the Senate at least and the presidency, we're going to be a socialist government, period.
Yeah, Walz is dangerous. Made 30 trips to China and likes their government. That's true. And something else that kind of amazes me, he held top secret security clearance. How the hell could he keep that clearance and make repeated trips with some extended stays to China? If anybody else did that, their clearance would be revoked.
Well, Clay, how the hell did Vice President Biden and his son make all those trips to Ukraine and China and get all that money and it's fine?
Well, it's funny now that, Biden's kind of being cast aside. That's no longer being covered up or defended. So, now there's, nobody's challenging the evidence that there's even points in the New York Times and MSNBC that Biden was making deals to financially favor him and his family.
Mm-hmm.
First time ever that there has been that kind of admission from them. So the times, they are a changing. I kind of wonder if there's a chance now that Biden does get impeached to move Kamala into the office.
Well,
I
pardon
don't
my
know.
French, but I hope that motherfucker goes to jail and his kid.
Yeah, I doubt he ever will. I doubt he'll live long enough. But nonetheless,
he's just an old man, a sweet old man who can't remember anything.
yeah, I don't ever think he's really been sweet, honestly. He's been bitter and mean, particularly outside of the public limelight. He's even been insultingly, my opinion, insultingly racist at times. But that's a discussion for another day.
Like his entire career in the Senate.
Yeah. Yeah, if Trump loses, a lot of the DC corruption will never get to court. If you notice how under Trump, Epstein was prosecuted and going to go to trial, and then Trump's, Epstein is killed, Trump's out of office, and nothing else happens.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of the other perps involved in this whole network has ever been brought or had any charges introduced against them. If Trump does get into office and makes some proper appointments at the DOJ, I wonder how many congressmen will be arrested for participating and encouraging and covering up, some of this child sex trafficking.
I'll tell you,
you've got tons of children, being trafficked at the borders, and nobody in DC gives a damn. In the Justice Department, nobody gives a damn. Some of that has got to change. So, is Trump the solution to everything? I don't know. Can't promise that. He made some progress his first 4 years. Economically, I think most everybody was better off. He did try to shrink government. He cut the executive branch by 18,000. He cut regulations by a third. The economy was responding very favorably up until COVID hit. He canceled funding for the Wuhan bioweapons lab. Why were we funding a Chinese Communist Party bioweapons research lab in the first place? Why were we sending scientists over there to show them how to do this stuff? That just boggles my mind. Anyway, subject for a different.
The co-chair under Jim Jordan of the Justice Committee was Epstein's handler.
Yeah.
I mean, there is so much screwed up here. And was it Blumenthal? What's the guy from New York? The
Schumer?
Congressman. The younger guy. He was paying the
Timothy
judge's
Weiner?
daughter. No, the judge's daughter to help with his campaign. What the hell's his name? Younger guy.
I don't know. Anyway,
we
can't solve all that tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, and absolutely correct. Bitter and mean and close to KKK. Yeah, he celebrated the KKK clan's biggest person when he died. So he was a great friend. Okay, James Comey's daughter was the prosecutor of Maxwell. Okay. Jane, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, let's not stall on that issue.
Okay. Hate to say it, Americans are dumb enough to vote for Harris, who is a plastic superfan. Yeah, and if they can't see the bullshit coming out of her mouth and talking out of both sides of her mouth, the sad thing is that most Americans they watch MSM, mainstream media, and they never hear or think to look at anything else. And that is just heartbreaking to me. It's like, do you have absolutely no idea what you're voting for? Do you really not know what's going on in the world? Do you not know uh, how this is going to destroy America? And they don't care.
You know, I think particularly as Kamala introduces more of her economic platform, and let's talk about that. Let's keep it on what we know and what, the actual things going forward from here are. As Kamala has introduced more and more aspects of her desired economic portfolio, some people are getting, I don't know, bitch slapped by reality. In short order, this is from Polymarket, which was one of the largest online betting sites that does presidential election. And just within a few days, it has flipped from strongly favoring Kamala to now favoring Trump. It's 2%. It's not a huge margin, but even the fact that it has flipped, I think, is somewhat significant. Now, in other economic news today, we saw Kamala, further elaborate on her goals or plans for the next 4 years. She had some additional platform ideas. Her campaign came out and stated that it supported the Biden plan. And basically this is Kamala saying she backs, for example, the administration's proposed 44.6% capital gains tax rate. 44% capital gains rate. Now, what's a capital gains tax? You've got taxes on ordinary income, which is your salary. So you get paid a salary or a commission or whatever every month. You pay income taxes on that. Well, if you own assets like stocks, Bitcoin, housing, whatever, if you own an asset that appreciates in value over time, when you sell it, that's called a capital gain. Now there, Ellen, you're typing.
I have it on mute.
No. There you go. When you have a capital gain, a profit in the change of the price of an asset, there are two types, short-term and long-term. If you own that asset less than 6 months, it's called a short-term gain. And those gains are taxed just like salary at those rates. You include it with your salary. If you owned it more than 6 months, it's a long-term capital gain, and you have a reduced income tax rate. Right now, if you make it's less than $42,000, somewhere around there. If you make less than $42,000, your capital gains rate is 7%, 8%. If it's higher than that, it's 15%, and it maxes out at 20%. So the maximum capital gains rate is 20%. If Harris gets elected, that rate will more than double to 44%. Now, what would that do? What impact would that have? Kamala, the plan is that the Kamala campaign, that the Harris campaign has endorsed, is that maximum rate will only apply if you have income more than $1 million per year. And you may think that's a lot of income, but keep in mind, these things change. What if you decide to retire, sell your house, your farm, your business? You take a chunk out of your IRA or 401k, your retirement plan, to pay off your house, plus whatever other income that you earn that year. You easily could have $1 million in income. Well, all of a sudden, your tax on that capital gain would jump to 44%. And that doesn't even include state taxes, which in many states would push your total tax rate to over 50%. The net effect of this, and I'm certain this would happen, it would cause capital investment to flee the country. Why do I say that? Why am I so certain or confident that would happen? Well, France, back in 2013, it levied what it called a millionaire's tax on income over 1 million euros. Well, it lasted 6 months before they had to repeal it due to so many millionaires leaving France and a severe drop in tax revenue, not to mention investment capital. Millionaires, newsflash to all the politicians. Millionaires can afford to leave. They can afford to move. Now, France has traditionally had high tax brackets, and there have been several studies done on it past 5-10 years that consistently show these taxes caused an annual shortfall of about 7 billion euros on average, and reduced GDP by 0.2% per year. Over a 15-year period, 15 years with these high tax rates, including that 6-month period of the super high rates, about 60,000 millionaires have left France. Entertainers have left. Soccer players, the highly paid soccer players in Europe won't play in France. Entertainers left or won't perform there because they don't want to be hit by France's high tax rates. High tax rates hurt the economy and produce less revenue for the government. But, the positive side of that is high taxes on millionaires reduce income inequality. How does it reduce income inequality? Well, if all the rich people leave, take the jobs and the investment capital with them, the people left are poor and have no jobs. So income inequality is much flatter. Everybody is miserable. It makes everyone poor. It's a dangerous idea. Absolutely dangerous idea. Just speaking as an economist, finance person. But it pales in comparison to a less mentioned, but probably more significant and destructive idea in the plan. The plan supports, and Kamala, her campaign endorsed the whole plan. She probably was there when it was being drafted, but the plan supports taxing unrealized capital gains. What's an unrealized capital gain? Remember, capital gain is an increase in the price of an asset. Could be Bitcoin, could be your house, could be stocks. Suppose you buy Bitcoin at $50,000 and it increases to $100,000. Now, you haven't sold it. It's just the gain on paper. You haven't sold it. But you have what is called an unrealized gain. If the plan passes, you can now be taxed on that. Same with your stocks, same with your retirement accounts, same with the appreciation in your home. Any asset is fair game. This tax would be 25% of the unrealized gain. So in the Bitcoin example, if it went from $50,000 to $100,000, you would have a $50,000 unrealized gain. So your tax on that would be 25% or $12,500. And you didn't sell it. But you would probably have to sell it to pay the tax. In effect, this would penalize people for investing in America. it would force them to sell the asset to have the cash to pay the tax, much like what happened to the family farms when the owner died. You know, you have a family farm in the family for 100 years, 2, 3, 4 generations. Well, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, estate taxes started growing, and you would have the owner die, and they might own, say, 1,000 or 5,000 acres, and it might be $1,000 or $2,000 an acre. Plus, you've got the barn, the farm equipment, the combine, the harvester, whatever. You've got the house, all this stuff. So it's very easy to inherit property worth several million dollars. Well, back in the in the 50s, 60s, the tax exemption for estate tax purposes was $60,000. Hell, in the 70s, it was only $120,000. So if you had a 1,000-acre farm at $2,000 an acre plus equipment, you've got $1 million, $1.5 million in value. Well, you get to subtract $120,000 from that. That's your exemption. And then on whatever's left, you'll owe taxes. The estate taxes started at about 18%. So 18% of $1 million is $180,000. It went up to 70%. So if you inherit a farm, on paper, it's worth a lot. But your dad, your father, was a farmer. He didn't have a lot of cash. So you didn't inherit cash that you could use to pay the tax. You had to sell the farm. So if you were close enough to a big city, you could sell it to developers. You could sell it to a corporation who wanted to build a plant, or you could sell it to an agricultural company. Hell, now you could sell it to Bill Gates or the Chinese. But that family farm has come to an end. That land will no longer be used in family farming. And that was a huge knock to the family farm. Now, I see some people argue, hey, estate taxes, aren't really a problem for the family farm. Now the exemption is $12 million. It's just not an issue. It may not be as big of an issue as it was because a lot of family farms have gone out of business. Taxes, regulation, estate taxes. Family farms have come under all sorts of pressure to fight for their survival. And a lot of people just say, can't do it. It's not worth it. Well, so yeah, maybe it's not as big of an issue now, but that doesn't erase history. We have a lot less family farms, and we're losing a bunch every year just because of the taxes and regulations, and government basically has been waging a war on the family farm. Ellen, I think your mic's still muted.
Not that you were complaining.
No.
I said interfering.
Interfering. It's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and Jane said, better luck next time, Carson.
Oh, you gifted more scholarships? Memberships?
Scholarships.
Yeah.
You're in school mode right now. Yeah. And Jane got one, and Gail got one. A lot of our good people got one, but Carson never gets one. Jane
I don't
likes to rub that in, which I do too. It's fun.
I don't understand why you can't direct those to people that you want. We have tried to get for those who may be new or just watching the show, we've tried to get a Carson a membership for 1.5 years. He never gets one. So.
And also to Erwin, I was hoping maybe he would pick one up. And dogs, but yeah, no, that's not going to happen either.
We'll keep trying.
I know. I just keep throwing them up there. And I keep getting one, and I'm like, I don't need one.
Third thing that came out of the campaign today.
I'm being ignored. Okay.
know. I'm just, going on. If I've got nothing to add to that, so I'm just going back to the.
Well, did
to
you
the
go
topics.
back to this comment? Oh, shoot, this comment.
She may be headed back to bus for rest of the campaign like they did to Biden in basement in 2020 by not opening his mouth. Seriously, she started opening her mouth the last few days, and it's doing a lot of damage. That's how contained they have to keep her, or would have to keep her. I mean, she's got 2 debates with Trump.
How are
they
going to
going
back
to keep
out?
her contained then?
They're going to back out. She clearly has a handler now that she's actually paying attention to, because the cackling has kind of come to a lesser degree.
Well, she doesn't do anything live. She's just, been at a, some little thing, and she just, these actually are releases not from her, but her campaign. And so you got to understand, the people running this, the people involved in the campaign are far left. They think these are great ideas. They think, I mean,
do they?
This is what they're pushing them publicly.
But do they actually think it's a good idea, or are they getting some kind of
for what they
for
want?
pushing them?
They think it's a great idea.
Okay, what do they want?
They won't. I can't judge their motives exactly, but my impression from somebody that advocates more and more money to put politicians' hands, more and more power, regulations, government in politicians' hands, is done by people who want more power, more control, who think they have a right to rule and think they are smarter and brighter than individuals, and they can run their life better than the individual can.
But that's not what a democracy, or a constitutional republic is.
Yeah.
And she's going to get the Rona and miss the debate. If she does, nope. Okay, I am in close proximity to the Rona and have been for a while. Right now, I'm okay. I could debate.
Yeah.
It is not a problem. I'm staying away from Clay just because it's safer for him and all of the students that he teaches every day, because I don't care to share all that.
Yeah, I don't think it's really, I'm not so much concerned as far as a safety issue. Honestly, it's that if I get Rona, I have to stay out of school for 2 weeks. And that's really tough to do, teaching the classes and having any kind of presence with the students. So that's why I'm cautious about getting Corona. It's not that I'm really worried about any severe illness. Like, look at Ellen. She's got a little postnasal drip, maybe.
A little scratchy throat, a bit
has
of
had it for
nasally
a week.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry.
And it's
snort into the microphone.
That was great.
Thanks.
Made my point for me.
No. Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, I've had it a couple times before, and it just hadn't been that bad. I've lost a sense of taste, had a little postnasal drip, scratchy throat, whatever. Just hasn't been bad.
Mm-mm. I mean, I haven't taken any medicine. I'm just like, okay, so I feel a little bad, but I'm fine. Yeah.
She has a short campaign to turn the USA socialist. I mean, her father was a Marxist and is a Marxist economist. That's not being insulting. He has proudly, declared that. He was a economic advisor minister for Jamaica. He advocated and implemented price controls. We talked about that Saturday, what the historical impact of price controls are. That's what he loves. That, if there's a problem with that, it's not his fault. It's something else failed somewhere else. And that's how she was raised. And these are ideas, positions, beliefs that are very comfortable to her. I will say almost intuitive to her.
Oh, yeah.
And if you look at what she's advocated her whole political career and what she is now starting to advocate, they're right down that line.
Sorry.
Okay, then
That
monkeypox.
chat cracks me up. Clay and I had a discussion about monkeypox earlier this week. Clay,
Yeah,
do you care to
I
share?
saw I saw a doctor talking about it and he says so far from the data he's seen 95 or 97% of everyone who has uh, caught it is a homosexual male
And the females that have caught it have had sex with the
with the
homosexual
homosexual male.
male. Oh, good God.
So
Sorry.
yeah, I don't really know what the absolute risk of monkeypox is. There may be other ways of spreading it. I don't know if it's respiratory or just simply an STD. But anyway,
I knew this was coming next. Have you seen the Crocs box?
no,
You know, Crocs, the shoes,
yeah.
when the
Oh, where you
holes in
get
them.
little sunburns, yeah, or dirt spots, yeah.
And oh God, Jane sent me a video on the sheep pox. This woman had like all these little pieces of cotton balls stuck to her face. And she was like, I just have to shave them every now and then, and it's no big deal. It's funny. Excuse me.
Yeah, I make no bones about it. I am not a fan in the least of her economic policies, and it's not due to my political persuasion. It's due. I mean, I'm a free market person,
It's common
so
sense.
maybe it is. But my real objection to her policies is history. They have been tried. They have been tried repeatedly. They have been tried over and over and over again, over 100 times, and have consistently failed at securing better prosperity, higher living standards, better medical care, better infrastructure, more freedom. Every metric that you desire in a general society, those policies have been antithetical to. That is ultimately the source of that's why I believe what I do in free markets. And I mean, I can spend a night talking about the examples of free markets versus controlled markets. And I won't
And
even
you
call them
would.
communist or socialist. Do what?
And you would.
And I would.
Trust me, I've asked him, and I'm like, okay. After 2 hours, I'm like, can we stop now?
Yeah. The it's not even an academic debate anymore. Now, some people would try to argue, well, true communism, true socialism has never been tried. I love that one. I really do. It's been tried over 100 times. And apparently nobody can get it right. So I don't know, one, what makes you think you'll get it right? Two, if true socialism, true communism has never been tried, then wouldn't that also apply to capitalism, that true capitalism has never been tried?
Yeah.
And so if the not true capitalism has consistently every time outperformed not true socialism, which one would you still pick?
The one that tends to work the best.
Consistently
Yeah.
tends to work the best. It's not like 51% to 49%.
No.
It's like 95% to 0%.
Mm-hmm.
Socialism has never, ever, communism has never lifted people out of poverty into prosperity. It has taken prosperity and delivered poverty, or it has kept people in poverty. There may have been some short-term benefits, but ultimately it ends up more in a shared misery.
Let me ask you a question real quick before you read this comment. Do you think that Americans are dumber about politics and finance because they've never had to worry about it?
I think Americans are dumber in general. I mean, for the first time in our history, IQ has dropped the past several years.
But
Measured IQ has dropped.
wait. But I'm talking about Americans in general for the past, I don't know, 60 years have never really had to worry about their government because they were safe, right? Because everything was great. They were in the land of the free and the home of the brave. And so it's never kind of entered their minds, and God knows no one ever taught it about how systems can change from capitalism to socialism to communism because we've had it so easy. Excuse me, we've had it so easy that it never had to think about it. And now all of a sudden, it's changed over the past 20 years to where we're going into a more socialist society under the guise of, well, everyone's equal and men can be women and women can be men. And, why do you have to have like different bathrooms and all that crap? What do you think?
I think you're onto something. I would attribute it also more to a couple things. One, there's a whole lot more entertainment and leisure time available to Americans. The more leisure time you have, the less you value things that are truly important. You get distracted by the desire for entertainment. Neil Postman wrote a book, Amusing Ourselves to Death, in which he basically talks about how generations since the founding of this country have had different symbols. And he would describe, like in the industrial period, the symbol was Detroit, its growth out of, nothing to the manufacturing center of the world and the hard work and blue collar guys sweating over the assembly line. In the post-war period, New York was the center of finance and fashion and, was kind of the emblem. He said the modern city that kind of typifies the American existence currently is Las Vegas. It's all about being entertained. Having, pretty in front of your eyes, having bright lights in front of your eyes, flashing, glamour, gambling, sex, drugs, drinking, gluttony, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas kind of stuff. And I think that's a big problem is Americans have gotten so enamored of their entertainment and pleasure. We have traded joy for happiness, my opinion. Kind of going to preaching here a little bit, but we have traded joy for happiness. To me, joy is kind of an underlying quality that, exudes regardless of the circumstances. Whereas truly sad people or people are hurting or pain will try to string together a series of happy events. It may be by drinking, it may be by doing drugs, it may be, by having numerous sexual partners, whatever the pleasure is. And they try to string together a series of happy moments in order to reduce their pain or hurt. And so I see a lot more evidence of this. I also see evidence in the system working to dumb down the population. Schools have utterly forgotten how to teach reading, writing, and arithmetic. In the 1700s, nearly 98% of the population, and these were rural people who studied by candlelight, who had to work, serious work, 10, 12, 14 hours a day, were more literate than we are in America today. They could discuss at length deeper issues related to philosophy, human nature. Are you not entertained? that sums it up perfectly. That is just the constant refrain. And I'm not against entertainment. Don't get me wrong.
You got to have some fun.
But I think, I think we've kind of lost the sense of balance. And I think we're paying the price. Yeah. I think we're paying the price for that. We've destroyed the family. We've destroyed personal relationships. We've destroyed work ethic. We've destroyed the desire for knowledge. How many people really hunger for greater knowledge and understanding? 50 or 100 years ago, everybody did. That was common.
Oh shit.
Being educated, being common, being hungry for knowledge was common. Studying was a virtue. Somebody that was intelligent, somebody that was well read was a virtue, was respected, was honored. Nowadays, how many people really respect somebody that's well read and highly intelligent? I'm talking about the population in general, not just you. I'm talking about the population in general, society in general.
I don't have friends. I don't know.
I just don't think we value those things that end up contributing to society being productive, being peaceful, being honorable. We don't celebrate honor and integrity anymore. We don't. Kids would even have a hard time defining it or mentioning somebody that to them is an example of honor and integrity. Principles. Used to be, it was one of the highest compliments you could give anybody was to call them a God-fearing man. When's the last time you heard somebody referred to as that? Talking about their conviction and allegiance to a set of principles and beliefs and, treatment of others that made them humble before others and who could be trusted with money, with your life, whatever. You don't hear or see people like that anymore.
You have me.
Again, not talking about you, talking about society in general.
I know. I'm talking about you, though. I would trust you with my life. And my money, and obviously, etc. I think you do the same with me. But
I would.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think 15 is actually the worst time. During COVID, my son was in high school and he was taking a French class. And just to allow him to make some extra money, Clay offered him to come over to the house whenever he could to trim up some of the rose bushes. He came over, he was working. I was kind of in and out working and coming back, and I said, "What's that in your pocket?" He said, "It's my phone." I was like, "Well, what are you playing?" He said, "Oh, it's French class." I was like, "French class?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm taking a class right now. I can't go to school." So he said, "I just got to show up and be there." I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me." I wanted to whip his butt. He's like, "Everybody does it, Mom. Don't worry about it." I'm like, "You will pay for this down the line. I promise you, you will pay."
Just for the fun of it, I just noticed this.
Yes and no, dogs.
Remember when I was talking, about how this had flipped and there was a 2-point lead?
Mm-hmm.
It's now a 3-point lead.
48 and 51 doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
That's not
51% chance Trump wins, 48% chance Kamala wins.
Where's the 1%?
This is a betting pool. There's
1% missing.
Yeah, but I mean that's just in the digits. This is just showing, just the total percent. This might be 51.2. This might be 48.8. I don't know. But I just thought that was interesting. Apparently Kamala spoke again or something. I don't know.
Sorry. That actually reminds me of George Bush Jr. Every time he opened his freaking mouth, the market went down.
It went down, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Third thing about the campaign announced today.
Hang on, here you go.
Very few youth well-read. Agreed. Rich kids go to Ivy League schools where they love terrorists, not God-fearing. What was it I saw out of Columbia? They actually supported the kids taking over a building. Remember when they did that last
the library
spring or whatever? Yeah.
Library. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I was an alumni of Columbia, my donations would just dry up immediately.
Dry up, mine would stop completely.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Erwin. You gotta do better than that. There's always a set of Clay's car keys open for me to take whenever I need a truck.
Yeah.
Come on. We've been married for a long time. Erwin, we gotta have a talk about that.
Mrs. Beast, I'm not sure I have full confidence that you're exactly being precisely, entirely accurate. There might be a little fudging there.
Listen, he's not correcting her, so I'm assuming.
Probably watching that's hilarious.
Swifties for Kamala, I thought.
No, I've actually seen T-shirts, Swifties for Trump.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a joke or whatever, but and I gotta admit, I saw a concert of hers, an outtake where she was leading the crowd of 50,000, down with the patriarchy, down with the patriarchy. And I'm like, really? Do we really need to encourage, girls to have greater hatred, distrust of men than what they already have?
I was sold a pile of shit when I was growing up in the 80s. Do it by yourself. Do it on your own. You don't need a man. Yeah, I do actually. And when you marry the wrong one, you have kids, you are just fucked every single which way because you have to do everything by yourself. Everything. And there's no help. There's nothing there. It's just you are screwed. And I'm like, no, I really wish someone would have told me that it was better to find a man worth being with and staying with that man, not the drug addict, alcoholic I married. But I mean, it's just like we were sold a bill of goods, all of us Gen X's.
And to be fair, on the other side, if somebody was leading a cheer that all women are crazy, those kind of things just bother me. It's just, now stereotypes, I guess is kind of what I'm getting to. I think stereotypes have a place, like in economically, I'll talk about socioeconomic classes and their behaviors or whatever. But in talking about individuals, it doesn't fit. Ellen, do you want to take care not only of your grandfather, but as Biden as well?
Sweetheart, I have so much to do. I can't do
yeah. Bingo. Same when you marry the wrong woman. It's not a genetic problem. It's not a gender problem. It's an individual problem. There are good women out there. There are good men out there.
Most of the ways we get fucked aren't the fun ways. That is, listen, I feel you. And it's tough. And it's like, I mean, I think Gen X and millennials were sold because you're X-millennial or zillennial, whatever that term is, Carson. Yeah, we were we were screwed in the head. And it's just like we thought we knew what we were doing, but we were feral. We were kind of like, go raise yourselves, go do your thing, go cook your own dinner, go wash your own clothes at like 7. And yeah, it's like, what? What happened?
Yeah, I'd just like to see us get away from, teaching kids to distrust their elders, to distrust people because of their gender. So I just think it's, hopefully that's getting passe and we can move towards some semblance of courtesy and reason.
I don't even know what that
I was wondering whose hands those were.
It feels me. Where's Ashley? Is that pronounced Zennial?
Zennial.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, it must be weird to hang with her.
I love that's where I called. Tell Ellen has read my comment. You turd. You can tell.
It's good to have you back, Carson.
And you need laughing.
To get you need to get, was it Ashley?
Ashley.
Yeah, you need to get Ashley and have her join on the show. Hell, we'll even dial y'all in.
Yeah, come on the show. Tell us about all your things.
Yeah, we need to see if Ashley packs the requisite gear necessary to keep the company of our beloved Carson.
Because Carson, I think you need all of us to judge your next human. Just saying. You can't say I'm wrong.
Not only can we give you help with recipes, we help you pick, significant others.
Oh, listen, if I ever date again, it's just going to be like, okay, I got to call 15 people and maybe see if you're okay with them.
Run background checks.
Because I make terrible decisions.
Run DNA tests, make sure their gender.
But I think the same goes for Clay too. I think we all have to kind of be there for him and say, okay, we got to make sure this is all right.
Yeah,
Clay and I make terrible decisions. Hey, what about me? Don't I get some advice? I mean,
Carson, I'm married 50 years. If you need advice, ask me.
I've been married like 20 years if you put them all together.
Yeah, I have given up telling people what to do.
Just what not
I can tell them what not to do.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. The requisite gear is there. Most importantly, years ago, giving me a compliment that was intended to be just that and nothing else. Most importantly, years ago, giving me a compliment that was intended to be that, just that and nothing else. There's a story there.
There is. Wait. Added salt to my failed yogurt. Now you're doing a science experiment. It's fine. Have fun. Turning into a counseling site or dating site. We are like more like the island of misfits. Does that work?
Yeah, Erwin, we have been known to ramble at times.
That's the most fun.
Yeah. Well, let me get this third point out.
Wait. I can tell him.
Let me get this third point out. Talking about things that the campaign, has done. Well, this is kind of a rumor that has been circulating around Washington and in Congress. Remember our old friend Sam Bankman?
No, I don't want
to. FTX. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to.
For those of you fellow admirers, the grand old story and these grand old individuals keep resurfacing. Remember Gary Gensler?
Where is Rob Law and lumber, we need them.
Do you remember Gary Gensler, the director of the
Yes.
CIA, of the SEC,
Mm-hmm.
who was a good friend of Sam's? And
Mm-hmm.
even while Sam was publicly saying that FTX was the model for future regulation and FTX may be out of control, future regulation, Gensler was strangely silent. Or do
Mm-hmm.
you remember Gensler calling him nuts?
Yeah.
Yeah, neither do I. Gensler never, he only had good things to say about him. Well, today reports were
Oh, I
out that
thought you were talking about the other guy.
Today, reports are out that Kamala would tap Gensler as Secretary of the Treasury. I got nothing. I just thought y'all might want to know. So
I thought you were talking about the guy that was going over the FTX stuff. I forgot Gensler was the head of the
SEC.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gensler should have been going over the FTX stuff. He did not. Gensler should have been questioning Sam when Sam was saying FTX was the regulatory model. Gensler did not. Gensler instead was talking about how Sam was a new vision and, whatever. I got nothing.
Who's the guy that it was John something?
Don't know.
The same one that did Enron.
John Ray?
Yes. Thank
you.
The
executor?
Yeah. Sam's parents are yeah, they are. They are both in tax law, correct?
Law. Yeah. Stanford Law School.
Mm-hmm. Jane, I have no words on that one either. Shit show.
We were talking about Bitcoin a little earlier. So how many of you, don't know how many of you have tracked Bitcoin over the past few months? If you have, you've seen it fall from $74,000 down to $49,000. It's recently stabilized around $59,000 to $60,000. But, I was thinking about it. Over this time, we have had Mt. Gox restoring 140,000 Bitcoins to their original owners. They've been locked up for 10 years.
Whoa.
The German government sold 50,000 Bitcoin past few months. The U.S. government moved 10,000 Bitcoin. Now the market dropped 5, 6, 7% that day when it found out. It created some panic, but the government still hasn't sold, and it may not sell. I think all the notoriety and attention that it received, because it seemed just to be spiteful to Trump to try to sell it, petty. So I think that's convinced who's ever, in charge not to sell, at least so far. We also saw the halving. And after the halving, with the income cut in half, the miners, have had to start selling some Bitcoin to help cover the cost, particularly when the price fell so much. So that's all past now. So hopefully over the next few months, we can see Bitcoin getting its mojo back. And another thing to note, speaking of John Ray and FTX, is that he has stated in the fourth quarter of this year, he will start distributing about $12.7 billion in cash. So you have to think that people who are, who were crypto fans probably still are crypto fans. When they get $12 billion in their hands, that at least some of them will be, some of that will be directed toward better crypto investments, toward more established crypto investments. So, some of these things I think bode pretty well for Bitcoin over the next few months. We'll see. Ellen, who are you waving to? Your mic's muted. We can't hear you.
Watch that ticker.
Oh.
Love y'all.
Y'all say bye to Ellen.
Night night. Y'all have fun.
All right. Well, it is getting to be about that time. So anybody have any other questions? Do appreciate y'all joining us tonight. Do appreciate y'all being with us. It's always good to have a little family reunion. If you will, before you leave, please hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Help us grow the channel a little bit. If you have any other questions, email me, moffatonmoney@gmail.com, or DM me on Twitter, Moffat on Money. Yeah, if you're not following on Twitter, please do. We do very much appreciate your support. And look forward to seeing you this coming Saturday night, 7 o'clock, same time, same station. Don't know what we'll talk about yet, but we'll have something lined up. Love you all. Thank you all. Our time is up. We thank you for yours. Good night, everyone. Hope y'all have a great week ahead.